As you guys listen to those soothing sounds of Dunder Mifflin, you know what that means. We are back. Welcome to Real Chronicles, brought to you by RealTalking.com. I am your host, David. I am joined with today, Just Leo.
Hey, everybody.
And apropos for today, Ryan the Temp has joined us.
I'm not a fucking temp.
And that's it. Jenny pretty much said, you watch The Office every single day. You talk about The Office so much. I just want you to rock out with your cock out. And I'm not going to be on today.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean,
he doesn't like us anymore.
I think that's what it is. So
it is quite ironic that, like, right now, since we're all dealing with this, like, quarantine part of the world, like, she's still somehow found a way to avoid being on the podcast. She's in the house.
And mind you, she can use the excuse she's having brunch, but she's having brunch upstairs away from me.
Love it.
And mind you, we're all healthy people right now. God help us. We're all good so far. But like Jenny still just doesn't want to be a part of the office. That's what I've got.
She's busy. She's got plans.
She's got plans.
She's got to quarantine herself with the office in the other room.
Yeah, I think I've because obviously we've been prepping for this. I've been watching The Office so much, and I think the fact that I'm home all day watching The Office has that's destroyed her. I've kind of broken her. So I guess you guys can guess that we are covering the 15th anniversary of The Office, one of the most popular shows even today. So we have a lot to cover. I think we've kind of had a good run of short episodes. That's not today. I think we have a good amount of stuff to cover regarding The Office. But before that, let's get into the news. Obviously, Leo mentioned before everything that's going on in the real world, but it's also affecting with cinema that all theaters are now closed indefinitely, every single chain, and that's affecting all the theater releases. So Black Widow has been postponed, which that was, I think I've spoken on the line and off the line. I think that was my hope that everything would be over by May 1st and we get Marvel and everything is good and that's it. I think we need the Avengers to take down the coronavirus.
I think so too. I think they can take out the Chitauri. They can take out the coronavirus.
Absolutely. So Black Widow's postponed. This isn't going to Disney Plus. This is just, I wonder where it's going. I think if everything is good by July, I think that's a sweet spot for it. Like right as everyone's back out, or do you guys think anything different regarding release date?
No, that'd be perfect. Bring back the summer blockbuster, especially after theaters have been closed for so long.
Yep. And Leo,
I agree with both of you guys. I think if anything, this might help out like the whole resurgence of the movie theaters.
Yeah.
If everyone's just dying to get out of the house.
I think everyone, whether it's Warner's, Disney, I think everyone's like being very obviously paying attention for all our health, but at the same time, they're like, they want to be that first movie that opens when the theaters opens again, because that movie is going to make so much money. And if it's Wonder Woman or Black Widow, oh my God, that's going to make so much money.
This could have been the perfect recipe for Harley Quinn to make a lot of money if they would have waited till coronavirus.
Right? Yeah.
If only they knew.
But like hypothetically speaking, I mean, it sucks that we're going through this in the first place. But have you guys thought about the fact that if this happened now, we would have lost Avengers last year?
Oh my Lord! You're
true.
wrong. Oh God! Stop it, David! Stop it!
Because I was talking to Jen. I'm like, shit. Like a year ago, we were planning our wedding, and we wouldn't have gotten married. We wouldn't have gone to Italy on our honeymoon, or France, or Spain. So like, it's just crazy how the world works, especially with like us cinephiles. With how much we were looking forward to the Endgame, we would have lost Endgame, at least postponed. But if it doesn't happen in July and they hold off on it, not because everything's not better, but just want to hold off on it, wouldn't shock me if they move Eternals to February and then Black Widow to November.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, and that's usually what they do too. Like those are their key months, I think.
The only thing that will give me hesitation on that is does Black Widow tie into the shows? And if the shows have to go after Black Widow, then will that move those things around? But I guess we'll talk. When we get to it, we'll talk about it more.
Those are problems that we want to have, to be honest.
For sure. The only good news from this whole thing is that the Avatar sequel has been shut down again.
Oh, good. Finally, some good news.
Remember when James Cameron said that Avengers can have that title, but when Avatar 2 comes out, we're about to become the highest grossing film of all time again? That was cute.
Talk about jinxing yourself at that point.
Dude, so since the last Avatar movie, we've had at this point we'll have 3 presidents. We'll have a pandemic.
Yeah.
22 Marvel movies.
Oh shoot. Another
Star Wars trilogy.
True.
The Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, we've had a lot. So
he thinks we still want a sequel.
I know, right?
The next thing on the agenda I mentioned was the VOD. So some of the movies that have gone to VOD is The Way Back, which I recently saw. It's pretty incredible in terms of Ben Affleck's performance. But as sports movie fans, it's top-notch sports movie. It's like paid by the numbers sports movie, which we all love, but it's worth watching for Ben Affleck. The Invisible Man, which is one of the best films of the year. I kind of gave up and knew that we're probably not getting anything till like June. So I did my top 10 films of the first half of 2020, and it's a depressing list because there's not much. The Hunt, which I still have to see. Bad Boys, Sonic, Birds of Prey, and Bloodshot. So Vin Diesel was spared. Another shitty box office. And then Onward. The Onward one was surprising because not only did it go to VOD, it's actually going directly to Disney Plus, which goes in line with something that I told you guys off the line and on the Real Talk Facebook, that I think New Mutants would be perfect for Disney Plus. It's PG-13. Yeah. Someone on their Instagram said that no, it's going to Hulu, but I'm like, no, it actually would have a good home on Disney Plus. It's PG-13.
Yeah.
They can throw it under the X-Men, because I think they categorize a lot of stuff on Disney Plus to make it easier for you people. Mm-hmm. So they could just throw it under the X-Men, and I think it would do well.
I agree. I think Disney Plus would be the perfect place for it. I think Hulu's I think it's a different brand. I think the only thing on Hulu from Marvel's group was Runaways, I think.
Runaways.
Yeah, they have Runaways, but they're showing.
Right? Didn't they put Cloak and Dagger on there?
I would have to look. If you give me a second, I can find out. Actually, I can't because my phone's not charging.
Because I know. Leo, you said it used to be on ABC Family, but the streaming rights were on Hulu, right?
Yeah, Freeform was the one that had Cloak and Dagger. Although, if they had Runaways on Hulu, that would make sense because they did want to tie in Runaways to Cloak and Dagger. Mm-hmm. And actually, now that we think of it, if it is a matter of like young teens, I guess maybe New Mutants wouldn't be a bad fit for them either.
I would have said that, but Runaways is now on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
So, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens in the next, I say month. I think we'll get this by April if we do, get New Mutants. But yeah, Onward is on Disney Plus. Loved it. We talked about it off the line. Yeah, it's not top tier Pixar, but still very good Pixar. And then last 2 bits of news, Rosario Dawson, which got our buddy Kevin very excited, has been cast as Ashoka Tano in The Mandalorian Season 2. For those unaware, she is Anakin's apprentice in the Clone Wars and Rebels, right?
Yeah, Ahsoka, man. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I kind of am curious on where they're going to use her. If she's going to be a central character, is she going to be a side character? I think they should introduce her as a side, and then just, if people are going to love her anyway, and then just push her up to a central character on the show. Now, does this mean that we're going to get Hayden Christensen back?
God, I hope not.
No. Remember, this does take place after Return of the Jedi, but we could also have flashbacks,
or we can have Force Ghosts.
Oh, that's true too. I was just thinking more flashbacks, but yeah, that's a good point too. So that's great casting. I think Rosario tweeted about it in 2017 how she would be so down to play the character. So totally in on that. And what better way to start off our discussion on the show that gave us the Dundies by looking at the Razzies. So I know Ryan loves the Razzies because a lot of these movies are on his top 10 of the year. So there's not that many. This is in the Oscars where we have 22 different categories. But the Razzies gave up their awards this past week. And to the shock of no one, Cats led with 6 wins. Should we say 6 wins or 6 losses?
No, it's wins.
It's wins.
People actually worked on this.
They worked hard to get this.
Alrighty. So I'm just going to run through all the categories because there's not that many. So here we go. Worst reckless disregard for human life and public property went to Rambo Last Blood.
Love it.
The Razzie Redeemer Award went to Eddie Murphy for Dolomite Is My Name.
Oh, nice.
That's a good one. I thought it should have gone for Adam Sandler for Uncut Gems, but whatever. Worst screenplay, Cats.
It begins.
Worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel, Rambo Last Blood.
Okay.
Worst screen combo, any half 2 feline, half human hairballs, Cats. Jason Derulo and his CGI neutered bulge, Cats. Worst supporting actress, Rebel Wilson, Cats. Worst supporting actor,
I'm starting to see a theme here.
James Corden, Cats. Worst
Beautiful.
actress, and I've seen this movie, and it was my number 2 worst film of the year. Yeah, Hilary Duff in The Haunting of Sharon Tate. That movie is a fucking piss poor, fucking god awful piece of shit movie. Worst actor, and I'm sorry, I agree with the win, but this he is one of the best actors in my heart. For The Fanatic, John Travolta.
Oh my gosh, you've been hyping that movie's performance.
Isn't it great?
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
amazing.
great.
Yes,
It's
right.
so great. Oh man. Worst director, Tom Hooper, Cats.
There it is.
And worst picture, Cats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Sweep.
I swept. Yeah, it did sweep. It's pretty intense how great that movie is. And
Sucked.
have you guys seen it yet? No, right? I know Leo. You're like, no way.
Oh, guys, but I did see that. Oh my gosh, who was it? Seth Rogen. He got high and watched it because of the quarantine, and he live tweeted his whole thing about him watching it.
And what did he say?
Well, you got to read these tweets. They're incredibly funny. He's reacting to Dame Judi Dench is a cat now, but you can see her hands. He's like, well, you can see hands here. And then at the very end, it turns out that there's a version of this movie that exists that has their anuses on there, like the cat butt.
So now they're saying release the butthole cut.
Yeah, so he's the one that started that whole thing. He's like, release the butthole cut.
So what are we gonna get first? The butthole cut or the Snyder cut?
Butthole cut.
Butthole cut.
Probably will be better than the Snyder cut.
Probably.
Nothing's gonna make me happier than when the Snyder Cut gets released and it's just as fucking awful. And then all these fucking dumbass marks can shut the fuck up and go back to their pretentious lives and watch awful Zack Snyder movies. It's gonna be wonderful. And then they're gonna create a podcast about how much they love the movie Sucker Punch.
Hey, leave Sucker Punch out of this. That was enjoyable.
Leo.
Yo, dude, those girls are hot. Leave it alone.
Oh, I still love you, Leo.
Hey guys, I couldn't be on this very special episode celebrating The Office's 15th anniversary, but I did need to drop in and remind you to stay safe. COVID-19, better known as the coronavirus, has spread throughout the world. Symptoms of this respiratory disease may include fever, cough, and shortness of breath. These symptoms may show up 2 to 14 days after exposure. If you experience any of these symptoms or have come in contact with someone who has, or are in an area with an ongoing outbreak, please call a hotline and consult a physician. Remember, people with chronic and/or severe health conditions are at a higher risk of complications if they contract the disease. It's best to stay home and away from others, especially when sick, and continue washing your hands for at least 20 seconds, covering your mouth and nose, and not touching your face or high-touch surfaces like tabletops and doorknobs. Please stay home. If you need a break, take a quick walk outside and remember to stay 6 feet away from each other. For more information, please visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Thank you.
Alrighty, so from one award show to the Dundies, let's look back at The Office. The Office is a show that I started in 2006. So I started in season 2. When did you guys start watching, or was it a Netflix thing for you guys?
For me, I saw a couple episodes here and there. Like as I was watching it on Netflix, I'm like, oh, I remember watching that one live. But for the most part, it was either catching some of them here and there, but Netflix for me.
And
yeah,
Leo?
For me, it was around season 3, around there. And it's kind of like one of those things where like I caught it live for the most part. I think around the time that Steve Carell's character departs, I stopped watching live, and then there was like these huge moments of just binge watching in between to catch up. But around season 2, season 3.
Nice. So the show lasted 9 seasons, 201 episodes. It premiered on March 24th, 2005, which will be the day the episode goes live. So on the exact 15th anniversary, you're going to get your 15th anniversary special on The Office. So for anyone that's been living under a rock these past 15 years, The Office was filmed in a single camera setup in a cinema vertile allowing the look of an actual documentary. So pretty much it's a mockumentary style show. And I think one of the reasons, and we're going to talk about this a little later on, why it's generationally gain an audience is because it doesn't have the laugh track, it doesn't have a studio audience, it's pretty much deadpan comedy, which has become more popular since the 90s. That's kind of why one of the main reasons I think it's become such a beloved show by all different types of generations. I don't know, what do you guys think there?
I think you're right. I think that, maybe you can clarify. I know that this is based on the British version of The Office.
Yes,
first,
which only lasted 2 seasons.
But mockumentaries, I would have to say that this show started it, right? In the U.S. at least.
I believe so, yes.
I know the Arrested Development had something similar, and I also know that, the Parks and Rec definitely started it.
Yeah, Parks and Rec was I think Parks and Rec and The Office were the two main shows that were doing the mockumentary style, but The Office and what works with Curb worked for The Office. I mean, the stuff that you can't do, the stuff that was done on this show, you would never be able to do today.
Yeah, and I know that the show also it hit its stride right around the whole time of when reality TV took over, right? Survivor was huge.
Great segue, Leo, because in order to get the feel of an actual documentary, the producers hired cinematographer Randall and Einhorn, who is known for directing episodes of Survivor, which allowed the show to have a feel of rough and jumpy like an actual documentary.
Yeah, because I think that helped it too, because it was a sitcom, it was scripted, but it felt like reality TV, and that's what was all the rave right back then. Everyone loved that stuff.
And I'm kind of unlike our other reel it backs when we do it on film, I'm not going to get too much into the filming of the show and all that stuff because there's so much more to dive into here. But I did want to mention that I'm not sure if you guys know that the show was almost canceled after the first season.
It should have been canceled after that first season was brutal, man.
I disagree 100%. So the show was almost canceled, but because a little movie that I love and I will always appreciate now because it saved The Office, The 40-Year-Old Virgin came out into the summer of 2005, and Steve Carell exploded. So the show was renewed for the second season, and I will say, while the first season is very different to the rest of the show, I think second season is where they found their stride. I think second season is where they kind of really took off.
Definitely.
All right, so let's get to our fun categories here. What has aged the best on the show? And I'm going to cheat here because I just love cheating sometimes. And my lovely wife loves cheating when we do these lists. So what's age best and what's age worst for me is the entire show. What do I mean by that? So what's age best for me, I put the entire show because of the generational fandom that it's created based on every single part of the series. There's something in each season, I think, that I can talk to someone, and I have spoken to a lot of people, that they like something from every single season. And I always use the example, like my cousin who is now 21, when she was 18, her roommate dressed up as Jim and Dwight for Halloween, and she was 3 when the show came out. So that's just to show how big the show has become. Now, what's age worse, I'll say the entire show too. What do I mean by that? The entire comedy of the show would not have worked today. So that has aged incredibly poorly, because no one today would be able to take this comedy and actually laugh rather than point, oh, this is he's being sexist, he's being this, he's being that. So those are my 2 age best and worst. What do you guys have?
What's age best is the dynamic between the characters. Like, it just feels so genuine and real. And yeah. And for what's age worst is Michael Scott's
hairline.
And Michael Scott season 1.
Man, I agree with you on what you said about him in season 1. Like, he wasn't stupid Michael Scott. He was an asshole for the most part.
Yeah, unless he was stupidly an asshole, I mean, that really could have been the case. But no, I think he was just an asshole.
Yeah. But yeah, his hairline was something special in season 1. All right. What about you, Leo?
Similar to you guys, I think the what's aged the best is like the fact that most people identify with the show because they've worked a job they're not too crazy about, and you go because of the people that you like meet there. So Pam and Jim, you could tell that they're friends, and there's like little bitty like stereotypes or archetypes rather, that you could pick up that you're like, I know someone like that.
Yeah.
But what's aged the worst is by far Michael Scott season 1. He is a jerk and he's very racist.
I think he's racist the whole show.
Yeah, no, and that I think that goes hand in hand with what ages terribly. There is like the racist jokes. You're right, D.
But but like I the thing is, I think in season 1, he's. I'm not defending racism. I'm just saying, in season 2 on, it's like he doesn't know he's being racist. You get what I mean? I think.
It's like innocent. It's still racist.
Oh yeah. I agree with you 100% there. Yeah.
Like I think you said it perfectly fine. This show could not air today. It would have gotten shut down after the first episode.
Like, it's not in my top 10 when we get into our favorite episodes, but I love Diversity Day. I think Diversity Day is hilarious. Like, I cry with Diversity Day, but that episode would no way work today. And it's funny, one of Michael's most racist things that he does in season 1 is actually hilarious to me. When the basketball game, where when he sees Stan, he's like, Stanley, of course. He's like, what do you mean, of course? And then when he's coming down the stair and he's like, secret weapon, and he's absolute trash, die crying. But yeah, so that's what's age best and worst for all of us. Trophy room. Unlike the last couple of movies we've covered, where there is absolutely nothing to talk about here, so we actually have something to talk about here. So throughout the show's run, the show was nominated for 145 awards, winning 29 of them. And if you say, wow, that's such a disparity for wins and losses, usually when, for example, a film gets a million nominations and never wins over 50% of them, it's very rare. Those, like Parasite did so good, winning a lot of awards, but that's a very rare thing. Like Joker this year, I think it was nominated for like 200 something and it only won like 80 something awards. So that's kind of like how it usually works. So AFI awards, it won in 2006 and 2008 AFI Program of the Year. At the Alma Awards, that's the American Latino Media Arts Award, it won Outstanding Actor in a Comedy Series for, I think, you know who? No? We're talking about the Latino Media Arts Award. Any guesses?
Oscar,
Oscar, yeah.
Yeah.
At the America's Cinema Editor Awards. It won in 2007 and 2014 for Best Edited Half-Hour Series. But I'm going to go straight to the DGA. It won in 2009 for Paul Feig, because Paul Feig directed a few episodes of The Office for Dinner Party.
Really?
Yes. Oh, Paul Feig directed a shit ton of episodes. The best part about rewatching The Office, and I pay attention to it a lot more now, is seeing who directed every episode, because there's always a surprise person that directed all the episodes. Like Mindy Kaling directed a lot, BJ Novak directed a lot. So there's a lot of people that directed episodes that you'd probably be surprised. And Paul Feig was one of the ones that surprised me. At the Emmys, it only won Outstanding Comedy Series once, in 2006. And Steve Carell never won for lead actor. And the reason for that was because this was the same time as Entourage was going on.
Oh.
Yeah, so Jeremy Piven was winning the awards there. And I believe if he wasn't winning for lead, you also had Modern Family. I think Modern Family had just started around this time, and it was like dominating.
Did it have did 30 Rock? Was 30 Rock part of its contemporaries at all?
I was, but I don't think I'd have to look it up. I'm not really a big 30 Rock fan, but I don't think it won too many Emmys. I may be wrong on that.
But Alec Baldwin was like
that may be it. Actually, no, it may not have been Entourage. It may have been Alec Baldwin. I think the show didn't win that many Emmys, but I think Alec Baldwin won a few Emmys. And then it won for Outstanding Comedy Series. So it did some damage, but not as much as would have expected. So that's where that is there. And then moving on to our favorite categories. We're going to save our episodes for last. So let's do that guy from award. Let's start with that. So Ryan the Temp, I'll let you kick it off because you always usually go last year.
I went with I can't think of his real name, but Dwight. Every time I see him in anything else, I've always like that guy from Ryan Wilson.
No,
Rainn Wilson. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah. So Rainn Wilson.
That's actually that guy from award, Rainn Wilson. I was actually watching Entourage yesterday, and I'm like, oh my god, look, it's Dwight.
Yeah, that's mine too. Because even though he had a film career too, but like I agree with both of you. Yeah, that's my that guy award.
Yep. And then let's transition from that guy award to not a new category, but our favorite character and our least favorite character. Because I've been teasing people that have asked me about who my least favorite character in The Office is for a few weeks now since this idea came up. So I'm gonna do my favorite character first, and that's Michael and Dwight and Jim, because those three are so great. Their chemistry together is top notch for the entire 7 years they are on the show together. Underrated though, Creed. Just gotta throw some
him on my list.
He's not my favorite character, and then like Kevin is hilarious. I love everybody for the most part on this show, but like those three are obviously my favorite. But Kevin and Creed are the unsung heroes on that show, especially Creed. What's your favorite Creed moment, if you guys have one?
I have one.
I have one too.
The one that comes to my head is just at the very end when he's wanted, and then he sneaks around.
I have
spoilers.
What about you, Leo?
For me, is remember when Michael goes around giving the fake rumors for everybody?
Yeah.
So remember how Creed is like, he goes to Pam and Jim and he's like, who did you guys say that I have asthma? If I have asthma, I can't go scuba diving. If I can't scuba dive, what has this been before?
So mine is when I think you guys know, I think I've told you guys this part. When it's Halloween and he's all bloody and he's getting, and he's like, it's Halloween.
About that.
How convenient. And I also really like when he dyes his hair black when they have to fire someone. Or no, where they're trying to get rid of all the old people and he dyes his hair with all the ink. I like that too. Alrighty. And then least favorite character.
I have a list.
What? You have a list?
Yeah.
I have a list too.
Yeah.
Really? I only hate. Look. There's one. I think you guys may have Angela on your list, and you guys can say it in a little bit if I'm right or wrong. But there is still some qualities of her that make me laugh. Like when they go buy, like Michael buys them all lingerie, and then she's like, I can only get clothes from the American Girl store, and sometimes they don't fit. She has her moments, but there's only one character on that show that I loathe, I hate, I roll my eyes, I think she's unfunny. I get her purpose on the show, but she really doesn't do it for me, and that's motherfucking Phyllis. Phyllis? Guys, I have a list of reasons I don't like Phyllis. Number one, season 3, copying Pam's wedding theme, from invitations to font at the wedding to wedding cake. All right, you're gonna copy Pam's entire wedding theme? Fine. Which brings me to the next one. Her consistent condescending comments towards Pam every time something has to do between Jim, her, Phyllis, and sales. So like for example, season 4, when it was outed that they were dating, Phyllis is like, oh, you just have to forward the call to any random salesman, not just who you're sleeping with that week. Dude, shut the fuck up. If this was Karen Filippelli, fine, by all means. Who are you, Phyllis? Who are you? And then recently during this binge along, when she rats out Dwight to corporate, when he leaves her on the side of the road, you shouldn't have done that, Phyllis. He's just trying to help you lose some weight. And then when he rats out that Dwight is sleeping with Angela while she's engaged to Andy, it's not your business, lady. Not your business. So,
yeah, all good points.
So yeah, Phyllis fucking stinks, and anyone that likes Phyllis needs to not watch The Office, because you don't belong watching The Office anymore. All right, what about you guys? Who are your favorite and least favorite characters? Go ahead, Rye.
Favorites, I put Dwight, Andrew, Daryl, Creed, and Jim. All of them, for different reasons. And my least favorite was Angela, Packer, Kelly, Robert California, and although I'm named after him, Ryan the fucking Temp.
So I couldn't do Robert California because, I don't know, he wasn't on the show enough for me to like completely hate him.
He just annoyed me when he spoke.
Yeah. That's it. That's what it is. I think it's annoying. You like Robert California, Leo?
So it's funny, if you guys remember when he first got introduced, he convinced Joe to give up the CEO position. I'm like, that's like, holy crap, man. I thought this guy was ridiculous. No, of course. And James Spader is a fantastic actor.
He is.
But no, I thought he was ridiculous. But unlike Michael Scott, this man was a genius.
No. No. I'll take Michael Scott any day of the week over Robert California.
And there's hidden and I think Michael was like almost a savant especially when it came to sales and everything. There were certain episodes that led you to believe that. I don't think he was all the way dumb.
And I think that was purposely done by the creators. I think they wanted him. Yeah, he's gonna be Michael. But I think they wanted always to sprinkle moments every season of him like proving that why he is the regional manager. There's always moments on the show, all 7 seasons outside of even the first one. I think he has maybe 1 or 2 moments, if that. But like from season 2 on, they always sprinkle a little bit of Michael outsmarting someone.
Yeah, like as a salesman, Michael definitely had some pros, but like I said, Robert California somehow got the CEO from Joe, and he also convinced. Oh my lord. Who ended up buying Dunder Mifflin back? Charles.
David Wallace.
David Wallace. Yeah, he convinced David Wallace to somehow sponsor his trip to Europe so he can go with young women. So like, Spader's character, I didn't hate it. But who I did hate, so I'll go through my hated characters before my loved characters.
Oh man.
I hated Clark. I hated Kathy.
Everyone from season 8 and 9.
Yeah, so it's funny. Even though the characters were funny, and I'm not saying they're not funny, but as like full characters and people, Oscar, Angela, and Stanley.
Stanley's harmless.
Stanley was the most disrespectful, insubordinate person, and I hated Michael Scott. But Stanley just showed no respect at all towards him.
He just wanted to play his crossword puzzles.
Yeah, but I'm like, don't get me wrong.
And Pretzel Day.
if you want to think Michael's ridiculous, think Michael's ridiculous. For the most part, everyone in the office thought that, but Stanley was just a jerk about it. He was just mean, honestly. I was like, I can't get behind that. He just seems really, really mean. Angela for cheating on Andy, for sure. Oscar for cheating with Angela's with the senator. Kathy for her role and what she was trying to do. Clark just wasn't interesting. Clark was just annoying.
No, yeah, he was. Clark was uninteresting. I agree.
But my most liked characters, I have Charles Minor.
What you Charles Minor? Idris Elba? Are you serious?
I loved it. I love that he came in and he knew what he was doing.
Oh,
he was an actually good manager. I freaking loved it.
He picked Dwight over Jim.
Well, to be fair, that was just based on he caught Jim in a really bad moment because Jim did a very terrible first impression. Jim, Creed, and here's one that I don't know he's gonna be on the end of your list, but I like Toby, bro.
Oh yeah, you're on your own there, buddy.
Yeah, I think Toby was. I mean, aside from the fact that he was really obsessed with Pam, and then in a weird way attracted to himself when he saw himself in costume, but I for some reason I kind of like those little like Toby moments.
Oh man, I got Toby's Toby. I guess that's where I'll leave it there. And then
how your list on Phyllis and how a terrible character she was.
Yeah,
I have a list on why Michael Scott is the #1 worst character on this show.
I think you'd be the only person that agrees that says that.
Again, I think he's hysterical. I think the show is him. I will say that after the rewatch, Michael Scott is the heart and soul of this show. After he left, it's just not the same. And
but you hate him?
Yeah, I think as a character though, my facts on Michael Scott and why he's the worst. He tries to convince Dwight to take credit of the golden ticket
idea. Yeah.
That's not nice. He literally was trying to pawn off an idea and take responsibility and do it to Dwight. He sabotages Jim for his own selfish reasons when Jim's about to get promoted, and he's about to get promoted too. The whole Scott's Tots ordeals where he promises college to a bunch of underprivileged children.
I can't defend Scott's Tots.
He, with Donna, goes to meet the guy that she's cheating on with, and steals the orange slices from the kids.
That is funny, though.
No, it's hysterical. And I thought the one moment was, you remember when they're all doing yoga and like he's walking around the room and you're sensing how stressed they're all getting when he walks around them?
Yeah, that's funny. That's really hilarious.
He's stressed out. Their whole staff. As a character, as a hysterical. I think Michael Scott was so funny. But, he's a terrible person.
Oh no, I don't think he's a terrible person. I think he just doesn't know any better. He just doesn't know any better. And then Rye, your reasons for who you hate.
Let me just go back to my list real quick.
Because you definitely mentioned Kelly, and Kelly is not someone I would have thought would have been on your list of hated because she's hilarious.
Well, and it's not even hate. It's like least favorite when it came to these characters. Angela, I find her to be dull, and then when I felt like she was like messing with Dwight too much, and Dwight was my boy, and especially when she lied about the baby's father. Yeah, the baby, that really pissed me off. That's when she made the list. Packer, again, I love the actor. I like when he's in stuff, but I found him to just be annoying.
Yep.
And same thing with Kelly. Kelly reminded me of some of the girls in high school that I couldn't fucking stand. Robert California, like I said.
Tell us how you really feel about Kelly.
She did. She reminded me of some people. I'm not going to say any names. But Robert California, I already said it, just the way he talked and the way he did things. I just found him to be annoying. And Ryan the Temp, I just found him to be a complete douchebag.
Ryan the Temp season 4 sucked. Like, I hated Ryan when he was like the boss. I hated. He was awful.
With the weird scraggly, with the weird like scruff beard.
Yep, I hated him there. Alrighty, so let's move on to the Detlef Schrempf 6th Man of the Series award. Ryan, kick us off. Who do you have?
6th Man, I have Craig Robertson.
You really like Daryl that much?
I really love Daryl.
Is it just because I've come to the conclusion you like Daryl because he's in Kevin Smith movies, and Leo likes Robert California because he's a villain in a Marvel movie. I got it. I
like Craig Robinson. I liked him from other stuff too.
My favorite, I will say, my favorite Daryl moment. It's probably not yours, right? But it's when he's showing everyone the Baylor, and then Michael's like, "No one can do this," and he's like, "I can and I will."
No, that's a really good one too. I just like his transition I like his character transition from a warehouse guy to the manager to like wherever he was. Not manager, but wherever he was, and then to the athlete, whatever it was.
Yeah, athlete. Alrighty, and then that's a good choice. Leo, who do you have?
My sixth man is Creed, bro. I just freaking loved Creed. I think even though he had like I think if we do the research, he might have had like the least like dialogue
yeah
in it. But I would live for him being in his confessional scenes because you knew it was going to be ridiculously funny.
Oh yeah, and then mine is also Creed, but tomorrow. Yes. But I always like it could be Creed or Kevin because I think Kevin is so fucking hilarious in some of the some of the one-on-ones. I think Kevin is so hilarious. Like when we get Prison Mike, and then he was saying he was finding out some of the things that he was arrested for are the same things that I do here every day. Fucking dead. He is hilarious. But no, like you said, Leo, Creed is so fucking hilarious. And then when they shitted when Packer shitted on Michael's carpet, and then Creed walks in, he's like, "Oh, somebody making soup?"
Oh wait, do you remember the when Michael's doing the murder scene, the who's done it murder, and Creed walks in a little late?
Yeah, I said he runs out.
There's been a murder.
He's like, "There's been a murder, and you are a suspect." He's like, "Oh, I'll be right back." Dead. Oh man, that's great. All right, so moving on to there's no crying in baseball. So I have 3 here. So for me, I have when Michael left, the moment in his office with him and Jim. He's like, what I am going to tell you tomorrow is that you're the best boss I ever had, or whatever. And then culminating in the airport where they take off their mics and Pam finally reaches him. I've teared up there. The finale, specifically when Andy said, "I wish there was a way to know you were in the good times before the good times passed," and when Pam takes the frame at the end of the series, and then Pam and Jim's wedding, what should have been the series finale. So those are the 3 moments in the show that I really, really teared up. What about you guys? Do you have any?
Actually, I have 2 of the ones. My 2 was 2 of the ones you said.
Oh, okay.
The one where you wish you knew the good times before they passed, and where Michael's goodbye, especially seeing Pam run to meet him beforehand. Which, funny thing is, you can't do that anymore either. But but seeing that, that's where I got teary-eyed.
All right, what about you, Leo?
You guys, sim ones, but I think I'm also gonna add in Michael's proposal to Holly.
Fuck Holly! You're lucky she didn't make my fucking least favorite characters list, because if it wasn't for that fucking Holly, he would have never left the show. All right, go ahead.
But no, Michael's proposal I thought was super sweet and just really beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was sweet. It was sweet.
Yeah, but the Jim Michael goodbye, bro, that just tugs on some heartstrings. The Michael Pam goodbye, but also Dwight reading the letter of recommendation.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, there's a lot, but I'm gonna keep a lot of these for my top moments. But yeah, it's really a lot of tearjerkers on this show.
So I also really like, and it's not on any of our lists, it's about Michael's goodbye on the last Dundee episode where they sang the Rent song to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome too. Anything else on your end? No? All right, cool. So next up we have the Becky O'Shea Icebox Award. Who is the MVP of this series? I couldn't decide. I went with Steve Carell and Rainn Wilson. I think those 2 are the funniest 2 on the show. Hands down. No doubt about it. Those 2 are the funniest 2 on the show. Do you guys have anyone different?
No, same. I just put Dwight.
So I was gonna put Dwight, but I realized that they were gonna do a spinoff with Dwight. The farm was supposed to be a spinoff.
That episode sucked.
Rainn Wilson couldn't carry the show by himself.
Yeah.
And The Office, even though it did last after Michael Scott left, it wasn't the same.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed it though.
Of course.
Yeah, me too. I liked it too, but you felt the difference of it. I don't know if you would have. I think the show could have gone on without Dwight. I could pick Michael Scott. I think the show is just it's Michael Scott's show. Even without him in it, you still felt his presence. Everyone that was a manager after Michael Scott was just like a poor man's Michael Scott.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because I was looking at the when I was making this decision. Obviously, Steve Carell is mostly should be on everyone's list. But the reason I added Dwight and I added Rainn Wilson was more because of how he grew as a character for me, and he kind of still kept his his Dwightisms, if you want to call them. But I think he grew as a person with like the friendships he developed with Pam and Jim and even Angela. Like he grew to like not just being because he joked in season, not even joked, like in season 2 or 3 where he was talking about how she'd be a great like breeder of his child or whatever, to like actually falling in love with her. And I think he had a good arc from beginning to end, and he is hilarious with some of his one-liners. Like some of the ones, and I don't have it in my moments because I saved that for other things, but Dwight talking about how he wishes he could menstruate so he could get rid of the idiotic calendar so he could be one with the moon and the tides. Like what? And then another Dwight moment is when he has the oh my god, not the menstruate. Oh, where he says that he's the fastest person in the office. He's between a snake and a mongoose. Yeah, I mean shit like that. I think the fact that he's so random just cracks me up, and that's why I added him to my list. And then finally for our new categories here, peaks and valleys. So peaks is hard, right? No. Because it was hard until I realized a lot of the cast were writers for the show. So I'm like, I'm not going to hold them accountable for their acting because they're still probably really productive in their writing. But I kind of, once I figured that out, I kind of just went with one actor, and I'm like, yeah, I still just know you from this. I don't think you did anything afterwards. Are we all going with Rainn Wilson here?
No, I went with Pam.
No, yeah, Jenna Fisher.
Oh, you went with Jenna Fisher? Okay.
Rainn Wilson has actually had a lot of movies since this show, but Jenna Fisher's done nothing.
Yeah, I don't think, and I think she's a writer now. She wrote a book recently that she promotes on her Office Ladies podcast. So I think she's writing now. So yeah, no, I would agree with you guys there. I thought you guys were going in the Rainn Wilson direction, like from the that guy from. But no, I would agree with you there. I mean, when I meant it was hard for the peaks and valleys, I mean the valley. Like who after this movie, after the show, like still had an amazing career, and I think. It's hard. I can't even choose between Steve Carell and John Krasinski, so I'm just going to say both of them. I think those two had the best career after the show.
Yeah, I ended up picking Krasinski over Carell just because I think that for some reason I think Carell is still, you still think of him as Michael Scott first and foremost, and I think Krasinski has now started to separate from Jim because now you're talking about like a Quiet Place and the Jack Ryan series on Amazon. Like I think he's had more of like an identity shift from Jim, but I think Carell, you're still thinking of Michael Scott.
Okay.
But both of them have incredible careers. You're right, which is difficult in any kind of sitcom when you separate. I mean, I think everyone from Friends failed at that miserably.
Alrighty, and then you, Ryan, what do you have?
I went with Michael Scott, Steve Carell on this one.
Alrighty, so let's move on to our top 5 worst moments and top 5 best moments on the show. So for worst moments, I really had a hard time with the worst moments because I pretty much am obsessed with the entire show. But I was able to put some stuff together. But Rye, why don't you kick us off here?
Actually, I did top 10 moments in general. I didn't know it was have top.
Yeah, same with me.
I didn't do a bottom 5.
Okay,
like
so
moments.
I did. So I'll just do some of my worst ones. I have the entire spin-off episode dealing with Shoot Farms. I didn't really like that too much. This is a worst moment because it was the day the show kind of shifted was Michael leaving Dunder Mifflin, and then the number one is hands down the worst thing Michael Scott ever did, and probably the most cringeworthy moment of the show, and that's Scott's Tots. That is. That is, I can't watch that episode. I really can't. It's so hard because I know where it's going, and in the fact even in a hard episode like that, a cringeworthy episode, I still think it's funny that he gave everyone laptop covers. Still think it. Oh no, it wasn't even laptop covers. It was laptop chargers. It was chargers. Yeah,
He has an extra battery or something.
I still think that's pretty funny. It's very Michael Scottish. But in terms of top 10 moments, all right. What do you guys have? Leo, you kick us off this time.
Cool. My top 10 moment for the Office I have as when in the last season, Pam and Jim are having some problems, and they go through marriage counseling, and there's a scene where they're saying goodbye. He's going back to Philly, I think, and she runs after him to give him the umbrella. And then it's like a weird goodbye, but they finally have a hug. And during the hug, you see a replay of their wedding vows.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's like, okay, they're going to be okay. They're back to normal. They can go back to the Jim and Pam we know, rather than this weird little fighting Jim and Pam that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
My number 9 is when Dwight's consoling Pam.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, because you see Dwight soften up, even though he thinks she's having her period. But
Didn't he? He's like, "Are you menstruating right now?"
Yeah, but he's being nice to her, and I'm like, that's super sweet. My number 8 is when Jim and Pam communicate through Bluetooth for the whole day.
That's cute. I like that. Yeah.
Number 7 is Asian Jim.
That was funny. I did like that.
My number 6 is Jim as Dwight. When he comes in.
That better be on all our lists.
My number 5 is Michael and Pam's goodbye at the airport. My number 4 is Jim and Michael's goodbye. My number 3 is when Jim proposes halfway between both their locations, the gas station. My number 2 is Michael's proposal. And my number 1 is when Jim finally asked Pam out. Because she's like mid-confessional saying on how like they missed their timing. It's not going to happen. She wishes them the best. I think Karen, Jim, and Michael had all been interviewing for the new position.
Yep.
And then out of nowhere, he just interrupts the confessional, asks her on a date, and you see like Jenna Fisher just start tearing up, saying like, "Oh shoot, it's finally happening." But that's my number 1 favorite.
And I love that scene too, because at the end she's like, "What was I saying?"
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Rye? What do you have?
All right. Straight off the bat, I'm going to say I cheated a little bit on here, and I also went with like kind of themes from the show. You'll see what I mean in a moment. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Number 10, I wish someone would tell you when the good times are, when the good old days are. Number 9, the whole Dwight and Angela dynamic from the entire show. Just their growth in their relationship and the ups and downs they've had. Number 8, like Leo said, Jim Pam reconciling. Number 7, the Scranton Strangler. Number 6, ladies and gentlemen, we just lost a client, and then they all cheered, made me fucking die because I can only imagine.
Yeah. Complaints, right?
Yeah. Number 5, Jim and Pam's first kiss. Number 4, all of Jim's pranks on Dwight. Just, I think, added just that sugar on top.
Do you have a favorite?
Just because I still don't know how we did it, and it's so stupid, I'd go with the original. I think it's the first one we see the
Jell-O
stapler, and yeah.
I've actually looked that up. I don't know how I don't know how they. Jenny thinks it's easy. I'm gonna make her do it because I don't know how you did that.
Please, I'll buy the Jell-O for you guys.
So my favorite is when I have 2. I have the one where he put all his stuff in the vending machine. And Dwight has to buy them all, and I really, really think it's so funny because like even when he's in Connecticut, he's still able to get him when he sends his letters from himself from the future.
Yeah,
that was really great. All right, keep going, Rye. My bad.
Jim's proposal.
Mm-hmm.
Pam meeting Michael in the airport before he leaves, and when Michael comes back as Dwight's best man. I thought that was
a good one.
Yeah.
So I have some honorable mentions. Not that I think I only have one here. No, I have 2. So I have what Leo mentioned before, where Pam finally gets asked out by Jim. I love that moment. Number 2, I think on an honorable mentions list here, I think people don't talk about the opening, the cold openings too much on The Office, and I think they're great. One of my favorite ones is Parkour.
Parkour, or the season 7 opening where they all sing.
Oh, and they all sing the song. Yeah, that's another good one. Oh my god, I forgot, because that's one of the, I mentioned, like, we don't talk about the cold openings that much, and this time around when I rewatched it, I wanted to pay attention more to the cold opening. Dude, I fucking died with Parkour, especially at the end where Andy jumps into the box.
Yep.
So my number 10 is when Michael comes out of the break room and he's like, "I declare bankruptcy." Shit had me crying. Number 9, the one you mentioned before. I wish someone would tell you you're in the good times before the good times are gone. My number 8 is a combination of different scenes from this episode. The garden party introduction. I think the garden party is the best episode outside of the finale in the last 2 seasons. I think that is still The Office being The Office, because I think it focused on its cores, like Jim, Dwight, Andy. So the reason I like this episode so much is, I don't know if you guys remember, Dwight's introducing everybody.
Yes, the announcement.
And he's like, Stanley Hudson and his mistress. And when he introduces Jim, and he's like, Jim, Pamela, and his wife, and his daughter, Pee-Pee. So that's on there. My number.
When Jim kept going back and forth, and like, Jim.
This is funny. This is another, I think this is a cold opening. Correct me if I'm wrong. When Dwight reveals that he has a wig for every person in the office.
That is a cold opening. It is.
I think that's hilarious too. Number 6, Pretzel Day. Anything from when Michael walks out of that office to when he has the sugar rush, that whole thing is such a great moment on the show. Number 5, It Is Your Birthday Period.
Oh my gosh! Yes, the party.
So I just think it's funny because of the fact how inept they are to throw a party, and then when Dwight blowing up the balloons that are at the sides of a rock or whatever, it's hilarious. Number 4, what you mentioned before, Leo, when Jim impersonates Dwight for the day. And I think when Dwight impersonates Jim at the end of the episode is a good payoff. That's
yeah, it really is.
Number 3, you guys didn't mention it, but every time I watch it, I think it is so fucking hilarious when Michael accidentally wears a woman's suit.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Michael's like, "Oh, it doesn't have any pockets." And he's like, "Yes, because it's mysterious." Number 2 is when Kevin brings his famous homemade chili and spilled it immediately on arrival to the office, then proceeds to fall and roll on it. Hilarious. And then my number 1 is when Pam and Jim in Niagara Falls, coinciding with that Chris Brown wedding dance and them getting married on the boat. I think that's the best moment on the show. That's my favorite moment on the show. So let's move on, and then we're going to finish off with our favorite episodes and fun facts on the show. So favorite episode, we all did 10 here, right?
Yeah, I have them honorable mention,
Perfect.
but yeah, 10.
Perfect. I have some honorable mentions too, and then we do this the way we do all our lists from 10 to 6, and then we finish it off. So honorable mentions, I have Garden Party, I have Casino Night, Booze Cruise, The Negotiation, The Initiation, and Basketball. All right. Number 10, I have Goodbye Michael, Season 7, Episode 22. And I have it tied with another episode, which I'll get into in a second. So Goodbye Michael, season 7, episode 22. So you mentioned that Michael was pretty much an idiot, but I feel like he's a guy that he wasn't a sad case. I think he was someone that was always full of hope, and he always looks at the best in everybody. Like his friendship with Todd Packer. Now Todd Packer is an asshole. But yes. But Michael thinks that that's his best friend because he doesn't know any better. Like, I think he does take it too far. He did take it too far sometimes, but I think the fact that you mentioned before, he is the heart of that show. And the moment he left that show, it's when the show went down. in terms of quality. Like you mentioned, the recommendation, the goodbye from Pam, the goodbye from Jim. I think this episode, if this was the series finale, I would have thought, wow, this is really, really good stuff. So the other episode I have for number 10 tied here was season 3, episode 20, Safety Training. I think this is so funny because it goes in line with the whole that joke from Daryl that I mentioned before when Michael's like, I'm gonna use the baler and I will use it. But it goes back to one of my favorite lines on this show, and he's like, Dwight, you ignorant slut.
Yes.
I think it's a simple premise, but it turns into some of the best comedy on that show. And the fact where they're doing a one shot of Jim and Pam when Michael is restarting his speech, and he's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to bring my mom for the evening show." My number 9, I have The Injury, season 2, episode 12. For anyone that doesn't know, The Injury is the episode that Michael puts his foot on a George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
Why does he do it though?
Why did he do it? Because he likes the fresh smell of bacon in the morning. So he has a George Foreman grill next to his bed, and he leaves which I didn't understand how he's able to do that. So he just leaves the eggs cooking all night, and then he wakes up. I never got that.
So he leaves the George Foreman grill unplugged with bacon on it. He wakes up, plugs it on, in, goes back to sleep, and wakes up again.
I think that's some of the best comedy on that show. And then when Dwight's running, he's like, "Oh no, not Dwight! Send Ryan." Number 8 here, I have The Convict, season 3, episode 9, and I think you know what episode I'm talking about. It is the only appearance of one of the best characters on that show, Prison Mike.
Oh God! Yeah.
No? Oh, I thought you were gonna know me on that. No,
Prison Mike. Then the Dementors. Don't forget the Dementors.
And then Karen's like, the Dementors from Harry Potter. He's like, no. I love it. I love when Jim's like, where did you learn that, Prison Mike? And he's like, from the internet. Not Prison Mike. Number 7, I have the finale, season 9, episode 23. The episode takes place 1 year actually after the documentary airs, so it's kind of a rehash of what everyone's been doing the last year. And Dwight and Angela's wedding. And were you upset when Dwight fired Kevin? Because he fires him in that episode.
Not really. I mean, yeah. No, Kevin looks like he was happy at the end, so it doesn't matter. And then
the line we said before, and then what you said when Michael finally reappears, and I think he has the best way to bring him back when he said, "That's what she said."
Yes,
that's perfect there. And then my number 6 is season 1, episode 2, Diversity Day. Favorite line on that show, on that specific episode, Abraham Lincoln once said, "If you're a racist, I will attack you with the North." I think it's so random because it was ad-libbed. So they told Steve Carell to just make up some stuff, and he went off with that. It's the hardest episode, I think, to watch outside of Scott's Tots. Do you think you guys agree, or do you think it's an easy watch?
I think it's an easier watch.
Easier watch.
I think that Diversity Day is essentially the Office premiere because the first episode is the same as the original British version. It's a carbon copy. So Diversity Day is actually the first original episode of the series.
Oh shoot! Did not know that.
Yeah. And there's so much funny stuff about there on that episode. The when everyone wears different diverse ethnicities, and what was it? It was Dwight, and he's like, "Oh, am I a woman?" when it comes to driving. So yeah, hard episode to some, but it's one of my favorites, and that's my 10 through 6. Leo, take it away.
Cool. So my my honorable mentions would be beach games with when Pam has her firewalk. And,
oh my god!
Yes.
When Andy
puts everybody to feet.
When Andy falls in the water with that sumo
suit. In the fat suit. Yes. Broke. when the Michael Scott Paper Company is bought out by Dunder Mifflin.
Love
I
that
thought
one.
was super. Threat Level Midnight, because it's a payoff from the mention of the screenplay. You see the final product. Dinner Party, because we finally get to see Michael and Jen in their home. Which is the roast of Michael Scott and the Stanley the fire drill.
Yes.
Assistant to the assistant regional manager. I have there for the video reel at the end where that Jim has compiled for Pam. And Michael's last undies is also my last. I think that the Rent song at the end, and just the episode in general. You see like the handoff. D'Angelo Vickers is not a terrible replacement, but he's a terrible host. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions. My number 10, as far as my favorite episodes, the finale. I have the finale as my number 10. My number 9 is Goodbye Toby. Just seeing how badly Michael's been waiting for this day to happen and how he has to control himself because Holly is there and he's like in love with her. I just think it's one of those funniest. Like, I just loved it. I love the whole way how, yeah, you just see him fighting himself and all the things he wants to do. Number 8 is Company Picnic. For some reason, I really loved seeing them all play volleyball, specifically when they started taking it seriously against corporate and you see them go against Charles Minor. And then at the very end, when you find out that Pam is pregnant. Number 7, Classy Christmas. Dude, the fact that Dwight was able to just destroy Jim so badly that the poor man is traumatized, I freaking loved it. Just because you see Jim always have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So when you see Dwight finally have it, I'm like, oh, geez. And the Army of Snowmen at the end. Number 6, The Job. And that's the one where Jim, Karen, and Michael all go to interview at corporate. And the very end is where Jim finally asks Pam out. My number... Oh, we're just doing 10 through 6, right?
Yes.
Cool. And that's my number 6, yeah.
Alrighty. Go ahead, Rye.
My honorable mention is the basketball game. Number 11, beach games. My honorable mentions are basketball and beach games. Number 10, garden party. Number 9, the Dundies. Number 8,
the Dundies are an honorable mention, Ryan.
No, number 9.
Number 9, you're, and this is why you're the temp.
Not the goddamn temp. Number 8, casino night. Number 7, free family portrait studio. And, hey, talking here, Rogue. And number 6, dinner party.
Alrighty. So my number 5 is Gay Witch Hunt Season 3, Episode 1. An episode that would not work today at all. But I think it's a very big moment on television, too. I think it was on network TV, I think it was the first same-sex kiss, too. And that was an ad-lib as well. So when you see the... everyone's reaction, that's an authentic reaction because it wasn't on the. I do not believe it was in the script.
Oh wow!
I also think it's the. It's pretty funny with the gaydar with Jim and Dwight and Michael. I think that's pretty hilarious. Number 4, I have Niagara, Part 1 and 2. Pretty much the culmination of Jim and Pam's relationship. And I think it's funny that Jim, in the end, is the one that outs Pam being pregnant in that episode instead of everyone being worried about Michael. And also Michael not being able to have a room the entire weekend is pretty funny. Also, Kevin wearing a toupee and Kevin not wearing any shoes.
Shoes, the tissue boxes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Stress Relief. Probably one of the best openings of the show is the fire drill. And when which culminates with the roast. And I think it's a very popular meme right now with everything going on in social distancing, Michael Scott in the park. That's all good stuff there. And then number 2 is the dinner party. Because that's, like you mentioned before, Leo, that's when you see them in the house for the first time together with everyone there. And it also has one of my favorite moments in the show when Michael shows off his $250 18-inch screen TV. Also the beer sign, and also their argument regarding the vasectomy. And Michael's like, you have no idea the physical toll that 3 vasectomies have on a person. But the best thing that has come out of Dinner Party was Hunter's song. Nothing on that episode tops that song. Hunter's song is it.
You took me by the hand, made me a man. I'd walk through snow, rain or sand, without a compass, a map, or a plan. That one night, you made everything alright.
Alrighty. And then to bring us back around, my number 1, my favorite episode on The Office is season 2, episode 1, The Dundies. I think the Dundies are like a car wreck that you want to look away, but you have to stare at it because your boss is making you. That is my favorite line from that episode. And I think it's the first episode that really got The Office on stride in terms of what the show ultimately became. And I own a Dundee. So, but everything about that episode, Pam drunk, it's actually Jim and Pam's first kiss, if we want to count that. The whole stuff, the hottest in the office award that went to Ryan the temp. Everything about that. Carell puts on the performance of a lifetime with his failed MC routine. So everything about that episode, I think, is everything that is great about The Office. So, Leo, take it away. Oh, no, Ryan, take it away.
Number 5, Trivia Night. Number 4, Niagara Falls Part 2. Number 3, Part 1. Number 2, the finale. And for my favorite episode was Goodbye, Michael. Just it had the perfect mixture of heart and humor, I think, of the entire series.
Alrighty, and Leo.
So my number 5 is Garage Sale. And it's funny when you mentioned how Dinner Party had introduced us to the light, it introduces us to the TV, because those both come back in Garage Sale. You see that Michael's trying to sell the broken TV at Jan Bro, and
the beer sign, yeah.
He's trying to sell that too. My number 4 is Customer Survey. That is the episode where Jim and Pam spend the whole time on Bluetooth, but Jim's bonus is being affected by the survey that Kelly had manufactured because she was upset. My number 3 is Weight Loss, where
that's great.
They're all competing to lose weight. My number 2, actually, Ryan, is Goodbye, Michael. I think Goodbye, Michael. Yeah, for real. That finale, or his finale, his arc, is just really a strong episode all around. Mm-hmm. And my number 1, I kind of cheated, just like I kind of think David did the same thing. My number 1 is Niagara 1 and 2.
Yes.
So I bumped them together. I think
I'm the only one that stuck by the rules. Damn it.
Yeah, but if the show had ended at Niagara 1 and 2, that would have still been one of the greatest show finales.
And I still put The Office as one of my favorite finales, because even though they dropped the ball a little bit with 8 and 9, I think the finale is still very good. But I think it could have been perfection with either Michael leaving or Niagara. I think those two would have been the perfect way to end the show.
Agreed.
But it was just too popular. You're not gonna. They weren't gonna end it. Alrighty, go ahead.
And I love the fact their last 3 or 4 episodes were double episodes each, and they did a good job of closing up a lot of the loose ends.
Yep, I actually really liked, and this isn't any of our moments. I really liked Jim, the last romantic, quote unquote romantic thing that he does for Pam, and we finally see what's in the pot.
Yes.
So I really, really dug that ending with that. All right, so let's move on to the last thing we're going to go through is some fun facts about The Office. There are a lot, so enjoy. So number 1, Michael Schur, who was a writer and producer of the show, played Dwight's cousin Mose.
Oh, shoot.
The casting team originally wanted John Krasinski to audition for the role of Dwight, and he ended up convincing them he would be better off as Jim Halpert. Number 3, this is interesting. that he still got the job after saying this. When Krasinski first auditioned, he accidentally told the executive producer of the show that he was worried that they were going to mess up the show since he liked the British version so much.
Oh wow.
My favorite person, number 4, Phyllis Smith was originally only an assistant casting director for the show, but when she delivered lines to the actors auditioning, producers were so impressed that they ended up making up the role of Phyllis Lapin for the show. John Krasinski did a lot of research on Scranton and paper companies after getting the role of Jim. As a matter of fact, he shot footage of Scranton that ended up appearing in the opening credits of the video. So the opening credits were all shot by John Krasinski.
That's cool.
Number 6, one of Michael Scott's girlfriends, Carol the realtor, is actually Steve Carell's wife.
Yes.
Number 7, Krasinski, Mindy Kaling, and Angela Kinsey were all at one point interns on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Number 8, Jenna Fisher kept the engagement ring that Jim gave Pam. She admitted on Twitter that it's just a silver ring that isn't worth anything, but she has held on to it anyway. There's a lot of people that troll on Twitter that said, why are those two not married? Number 9, Jenna Fisher had been a struggling actor for 8 years before getting cast on the show, and then you guys throw shade at her at the end.
Come on.
Number 10, when the cast sang Seasons of Love for Michael in season 7, everyone cried in real life. So did we.
Oh, that's a good one.
Number 11, Fisher and Kinsey are best friends in real life, and now they have the podcast Office Ladies. As a matter of fact, Fisher is actually the godmother to Kinsey's child.
Oh, wow.
Number 12, during her first day on set, Rashida Jones, who played Karen Filippelli, laughed at Carol's improvising so much that she thought she was going to be fired. Fun fact about that, I think Andy, they were also not supposed to make it through the whole 3rd season, and the only one that made it because he just made a lasting impact on the show was Andy. And so Andy was never supposed to last past season 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Number 13, the cast picked the opening theme music. U.S. creator Greg Daniels gave them 4 versions of the song and told them to vote for the winner. Number 14, on several episodes, a Homer Simpson doll can be seen on the set. Daniels was a writer on The Simpsons, so he put the doll as an Easter egg to his past.
That's so...
That's really cool.
Number 15, the computers on set really worked and even had internet to make things more realistic. However, in the first season, everyone's computer were fake except for 5 main cast members. They did not get Wi-Fi. This is crazy. They did not get Wi-Fi on their computers till 2006.
Oh, wow.
Number 16, and the show probably would have not have lasted if this happened. Carell almost didn't get to play Michael Scott because he was committed to another NBC show called Come to Papa. When that didn't work out, he was able to finally commit to The Office. Have you guys ever heard of Come to Papa?
Nope.
I had no idea. And then what I mentioned earlier when we first started, it wasn't until after his 2005 40-Year-Old Virgin portrayal that Carol became a superstar and someone who got viewers excited and coming to see the show. Number 18, Brian Baumgartner, who plays Kevin, went to the same high school as Ed Helms, who played Andy Bernard.
Oh, shoot.
Another fun high school fact, BJ Novak and John Krasinski also went to the same high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that the first episode was straight shot for shot of the pilot of the British version. The first season of the show was the one that was most based on the British version. Critics hated it, and no one felt optimistic about the show's future because it relied so much on the British version. Have you guys seen the British version?
I have.
Bits and pieces.
I don't like it at all.
Terrible.
Same.
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought that I would like it at least a little bit, but I feel like you talked about unlikable. I forgot his name on the show, but their Michael Scott is not likable at all.
And he was on.
He was on The Office when they were interviewing for new managers. Yeah.
Actually, was he? I think he was on there twice.
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais. Yeah. Yeah, he was on there twice, I think.
He was on. So he was on there. He was on there when he meets Michael Scott, which is pretty cool. Then he was on there as a video applicant for one of the job interviews. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he might have been the brother to one of oh my gosh, remember the female manager that takes over for Andy?
Yes.
I think he plays her brother because his voice can be heard in a voicemail that she hears from her brother.
Oh, interesting.
But I never confirmed it though. But I know it's Ricky Gervais's voice saying like, I hope everything is right. This is your brother. I wonder if they always had intended for the two offices to kind of cross like
cross
that.
the list. Yeah, that would have been interesting. In regards to casting, I always like doing these casting fun facts as a what if. Seth Rogen, Patton Oswalt, and Matt Besser all auditioned for the role of Dwight Schrute. However, Rainn Wilson actually auditioned to play Michael.
Huh.
And other people that auditioned to play Michael: Paul Giamatti, Bob Odenkirk, Martin Short, and Alan Tudyk.
And Odenkirk actually does play a Michael Scott character too.
Yep. Later on, I think it's in. Is that when Pam goes to another branch? Correct.
Yeah, she goes to interview for the realty job.
Yep.
And yeah, he's identical to Michael Scott.
Yep. And then the episode where Jim proposed to Pam included the most expensive shot ever at $250,000. The crew had to build a replica of a gas station and rest stop at the proposal scene, since filming at an actual gas station would have cost $100,000.
Wow.
That I would have never thought. It's like when you buy groceries and you spend like $50, but you buy like two things. You just that would never have thought that would have cost that much money.
Dang, I honestly I thought it was a real gas station. I didn't know they were.
This is a fun fact I really like. During Michael's last scene, the one we mentioned for the airport, Pam ran up to him at the airport and said goodbye, and he whispered something he whispered something in her ear that viewers couldn't hear. To this day, Fisher has never revealed what he said, but has said the sentiment was real.
Wow.
Oh.
And then this is good because it worked in creating the Michael Scott character, but Carell never watched the British version because he did not want to imitate Ricky Gervais's version of Michael Scott and create his own version of him. Alrighty, and then almost done. Your favorite person, James Spader, was only supposed to be making a cameo as a replacement for Michael, but producers liked him so much that he kept him on for the entire season.
It feels like Robert California convinced them to let him stay on the show longer.
Carol really sweats easily, so the set of The Office had to be kept at 64 degrees so his sweating wouldn't ruin the shot.
Oh.
The episode Beach Games, which you guys mentioned before, was a disaster. It was hot during the day and then very cold at night. Everyone ate so many hot dogs that they got sick, and Wilson accidentally got sand in Leslie David Baker's eye, who plays Stanley, that he had to go to the hospital for a scratched cornea.
Oh my
Wow. That's insane.
This one I did not find out until I started doing research for this episode. During most of season 3, Krasinski wore a wig because he had to cut his hair off for the movie Leatherheads. This is a really good wig because I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, no. The only weird guy wig I think was Andy when he came back from his boat trip.
Yep.
He had like a full beard and he had like long hair, and there was like a scene that.
In season 4, Angela Kinsey was actually pregnant in real life and hid her stomach behind props like bags, printers, and boxes.
Oh, nice.
And then to coincide with that, in season 8, Jenna Fisher was really pregnant, ended up coinciding with Pam's pregnancy.
That makes sense.
I would have loved this next casting news. I would have loved. Amy Poehler almost played the role of Jan, but she didn't get the role. But she ended up being like the Michael Scott of Parks and Rec from I assume, right? Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak were originally hired as writers for the show before getting the roles. Novak was the first actor hired, so that's why it took a little bit of Kelly to actually get her personality, because she was very different in season 1 as opposed to what she became later. And then last 3, Krasinski and Wilson often gave each other lines and advice while shooting scenes together.
Nice.
49. When Fisher was cast as Pam, the first question she asked was if Krasinski was hired for Jim because she could only picture him as Jim.
Wow.
And the last fun fact, Shoot Farms has a real page on TripAdvisor with thousands of reviews, but Shoot Farms isn't a real place. The page even has a warning that says, "This is a fictional place as seen on NBC's The Office. Please do not try to book a visit here."
That's
That's so cool.
I figured it'd be a perfect way to end. All right, so that pretty much wraps everything up on this fun-filled edition of Real Chronicles. In terms of legacy of The Office, I've said numerous times on here, I'm an Office stan on this podcast. I think it's one of the funniest comedies of all time. I think it's consistently gaining new and more fans. And I've said stories on here about recent trips to Disney, how everyone had a comment about my Dunder Mifflin backpack or whatever. And it's older people, young people, everyone I know that has watched The Office loves The Office. There's very few people that I've spoken to my entire life that don't like The Office. It's one of those shows that I think will continue to grow thanks to Netflix and, unfortunately, in 2021, Peacock. But we will continue to have The Office, and it will continue to play in my living room until the end of time. What about you guys?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's like I even when I first saw it, like the Michael Scott antics, I really were like cringeworthy, and I just couldn't really like get behind some of like the realistic decisions he made. But like rewatching the show, you kind of just get a sense of like it's redefined TV. Mockumentary is taken very seriously now. It's a really cool way to do a TV show. And it launched some awesome careers. And I think you said it. It's like it transcends age. Thanks to Netflix, you can watch this as a teenager, you can watch this as an adult, and everyone grabs something out of it.
And you, Rye?
You guys said it best. I think it's a really great show. I believe it does transcend age, race, gender. It touches a little bit on everything. I love how, no matter where you are in your life, you can somewhat relate to somewhere in the show. And that's one thing I did enjoy about this viewing of the show.
I agree. All right, kids. So that pretty much wraps everything up for this week. Next week, we will be back once again as we continue to entertain you through these hard times. Until next week, see you later, kids.